The chandeliers did not flicker. They never did. They simply held the light in place, steady and calm, as if nothing in this world could ever disturb it. The marble floor beneath them reflected soft footsteps, polished shoes, and quiet confidence. Voices moved through the air like silk, low, controlled, certain. And standing near the edge of it all was a young waitress, her fingers resting on the knot of her apron, holding it a second longer than necessary. Not because she was careless, but because she was trying to steady herself. Her name was Noravellan. No one noticed when she inhaled. No one noticed when she exhaled. The Aurelia Hotel had a way of making people like her disappear. It was built for people who arrived already seen, people who spoke without fear of being ignored, people whose lives had never required silence as protection. Noravellan had learned early that silence could be safer than sound. She moved carefully between tables, memorizing patterns, who preferred eye contact, who avoided it, who spoke sharply, who spoke as if they had never once been told no. She had only been here for 2 weeks and already she understood her role: serve, step back, fade. She did that well. What no one knew was that quiet had shaped her long before this place ever did. Her childhood home was small, often dim, always careful with electricity. Her father left when she was 12, leaving behind a space no one spoke about. Her mother filled the silence with work, double shifts, tired smiles, hands that smelled like soap and exhaustion. And then there was Eli. Her younger brother did not hear the world the way others did. Sound had never reached him the same way. So Noravellan learned another language, one made of hands and patience and love. Nights were spent practicing signs under a flickering lamp, laughing without noise, understanding without words. In that world, nothing needed to be explained loudly. Nothing needed to be defended. That language became her shelter. The Aurelia Hotel was the opposite of everything she knew: gold-trimmed walls, private rooms, names whispered with respect. That afternoon, she was assigned to table 9. A private table, white linen, soft lighting, power seated neatly in tailored fabric. Adrian Cole arrived first, his presence quiet but firm, a man who did not need to raise his voice to command attention. Success clung to him effortlessly. People made space without being asked. When his mother joined him, the room shifted slightly, not because she demanded it, but because grace has a way of doing that. Margaret Cole wore pearls in calm. Her smile was gentle, practiced, patient. Noravellan approached with her notepad ready, her script memorized, but something felt different. She spoke politely, clearly, and waited. Margaret smiled, she nodded, but she did not answer. Noravellan noticed the smallest details: the way Margaret watched lips, the way Adrian leaned in just slightly when he spoke to her. And then she saw it: a hearing aid almost hidden, and the careful way silence was managed at that table. Her chest tightened. She had seen this before, lived this, loved someone inside this space between sound and quiet. Adrian glanced up, impatience flashing briefly across his face. He expected efficiency, not hesitation. Noravellan felt her pulse in her ears. She could have continued speaking. She could have walked away and sent someone else. That would have been acceptable, safe. Instead, she made a choice so small it almost felt invisible. She lifted her hands. They shook at first, then steadied. She signed a simple question: still or sparkling water. The room did not change, but something at that table did. Margaret's eyes widened, then softened. Her hand moved to her chest, not from shock but from recognition. Tears came without warning, the kind that arrive when something long forgotten suddenly feels possible again. She signed back slowly, carefully: "You know this language." Noravellan nodded. She smiled, the kind of smile that carries memory. Adrian stopped breathing for a moment. He had seen people accommodate his mother. He had never seen anyone speak to her. As lunch continued, time seemed to loosen its grip. Noravellan signed the menu. She explained dishes with warmth. She shared small gestures that made Margaret laugh, a real laugh, unguarded and free. Hands moved, meaning flowed. Other guests noticed, whispers traveled, phones tilted subtly. Adrian did not look away. For the first time in years, he was not protecting his mother from the world. He was watching the world meet her where she was. For Noravellan, each movement of her hands carried more than service. It carried Eli, the boy who once tugged her sleeve, the boy who had left this world 2 years earlier quietly after a long fight he never complained about. Signing now felt like speaking to him again, like finishing a conversation that never truly ended. When the plates were cleared, Margaret reached for her hands and held them. Her grip was firm, emotional, human. She signed that she felt seen, that she felt less alone. Noravellan answered with tears in her eyes that love does not disappear, it only waits. Later, Adrian asked her to step aside. She expected correction, perhaps even trouble. Rules mattered here. Instead, his voice was softer than she expected. He spoke of his mother's loneliness, of dinners spent translating glances, of years watching her fade quietly in rooms full of people. He admitted something else too. Somewhere between building an empire and winning every argument, he had lost the empathy she once taught him. Noravellan did not interrupt. When she spoke of her brother, he understood without needing more words. Change did not arrive loudly after that afternoon. It arrived steadily. The hotel introduced sign language training, staff began to learn, guests noticed, conversations shifted. Noravellan was offered opportunities she never asked for, support she never expected, not as charity, as recognition. Margaret returned often, always asking for her. Weeks later, during a break, Noravellan stood by the window, sunlight resting gently on the city beyond the glass. She signed a quiet thank you to no one in particular, or maybe to someone who was listening in a different way. Sometimes the world still felt heavy, but she knew something now. Being overlooked had never meant being empty. If this story stayed with you, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who might need it. Subscribe for more quiet stories that speak to the heart. And in the comments, leave just one word.